Have you ever walked into a place and immediately felt your shoulders relax without knowing why? Well, I had right here. Not in a resort, not in a beach, not in a fancy luxury hotel, but inside a hospital. Now, that sentence sounds almost ridiculous, right? Hospitals are not supposed to feel peaceful, they are supposed to feel clinical, busy, bright, functional. You walk in, get treated, leave, and that's what we have come to expect. So imagine my surprise when I initially walked into this place. Instead of a long gray corridors, I found sunlight. Instead of walls closing in, I found open courtyards. Instead of concrete, there were palm trees. Instead of silence that felt lonely, there was silence that somehow felt alive. I remember I remember stopping there, not because I was lost, but because I was trying to understand what exactly I was feeling. Hello everyone. I am Dr. Vamshidhar Argula, emergency physician, a story collector, and a professional observer of human chaos. For the last 13 years, I've spent my life inside emergency departments, and today I want to tell you about a hospital that quietly changed the way I think, that quietly changed the way I feel about hospitals. Welcome to Code Blue Confessions. I worked in hospitals for most of my adult life. Hospitals became familiar. You stop noticing them. You start noticing patients, monitors, scans, alarms, beeps, blood results, waiting times. You stop looking up. And then one fine day, I landed here. And the first thing I noticed, it wasn't medicine. It was, in fact, light. The natural light. It's everywhere, streaming through glasses, reflecting off white walls, finding its way into the waiting areas. It's amazing what sunlight does to building. It makes even waiting feel different. And then there are these gardens. When I look around, I think, who puts tropical gardens inside a hospital? Who decides that someone waiting for a news should have palm trees instead of plain walls? Who thinks, come on, let's build courtyards where people can simply sit and breathe? Who thinks that? Whosoever made those decisions understood something very important, which is healing does not always begin with prescription. Sometimes it begins with an environment. I often find myself walking through these gardens between patients, and not because I have time to waste, but because those 60 to 90 seconds surrounded by greenery, somehow it resets my mind. There's a small fountain here. There is nothing dramatic about it. It's just water quietly flowing, minding its own business. And yet, I catch myself doing something that I have not done for years, which is pausing. Not because I am tired, because I wanted to. That feeling is rare in emergency medicine. I've always been watching patients, a man waiting quietly with his wife, a child pointing at a fish in those waters, someone sitting beneath a tree and not scrolling their phone, just sitting there watching those palm trees move. It's very fascinating. This building seems to slow people down and without even asking them to do. Maybe the architecture affects behavior more than we realize. Maybe beautiful spaces don't just impress us. In fact, they might as well change us. You know what made me smile the other day? I was walking through one of those corridors, completely lost in a thought. Then I laughed because I realized if someone had blindfolded me, brought me to this place, and removed the blindfolds and asked, "Guess where you are?" Answering hospital would have been my 20th guess. Maybe that's the highest compliment I can give to this place. It never lets you forget that healing isn't always physical. Healing also has psychology, a smell, a sound, a feeling. Funny thing is, the more time I spend here, the more I noticed tiny things. The breeze moving through these palm trees, the reflection on the glass, the sounds of footsteps instead of shouting, and those spaces between conversations. Medicine trains us to notice abnormalities, but perhaps places like this remind us to notice beauty also. And maybe we need both. As emergency physicians, we spend our careers meeting people on some of their hardest days of their lives: fear, pain, uncertainty, anxiety, loss, hope. We witness all of it. If the building around them can remove even 1% of that anxiety, that's not decoration, that's medicine. Maybe not the medicine that you swallow, but medicine you feel. When I first arrived, I thought I had come here to work. Now I'm beginning to think that this place is quietly teaching me that efficiency and compassion can exist together. Maybe oh, modern buildings don't have to feel cold. The hospitals don't have to treat the diseases. Sometimes they quietly heal the people working inside them. Perhaps that's why I enjoy walking through these corridors. Not only because they are beautiful, well, in fact, they are beautiful, but because every now and then they remind me to look up, to notice the light, to appreciate the trees, to pause beside that fountain, to breathe before walking back to the emergency medicine department. And perhaps that's exactly what hospitals should help us do, not just survive, but also heal. Thank you for walking with me today. I am Dr. Vamshidhar Argula. These are my code blue confessions. And before we meet again, remember, life whispers before it screams. Pay attention.